We're listening to the BNI Effect, the podcast for Brisbane entrepreneurs who believe in givers gain. I'm Tony Meredith, and ordinarily I'm a business coach who specialises in sales and leadership, but today I'm your host and fellow BNI member. In this episode, I chat with a Brisbane BNI member to explore their biggest wins, biggest lessons, and how you can get the most out of your BNI membership. This is episode number 89, and today's guest is Sloan Wilkins from Executive Financial Coaching. Welcome, Sloan.
Great to be with you, Tony. Hello to everyone out there listening.
Thank you. Well, given it's a BNI podcast, let's kick it off by talking a little about a BNI story and specifically, what's the best referral you've either given or received through BNI, Sloan?
I think, and this sounds like quite a simple one, but I think it's sometimes the simple things that make the most impact. And this was actually for a client of mine who was in the corporate world in a role looking to establish their own business, and what they were really going through was thinking about what's the right structure for that. So I had an accountant on the side of town that they were, reached out to them, made the connection via email, and this is the feedback I got. It's just like, oh, that's awesome, both from the BNI person sort of saying, hey, look, really great connection, good opportunity for us to grow with them as they establish their business, but also the client really felt well looked after, and sort of said, oh yeah, that was really great, and said, oh gosh, you seem to know everyone.
You got a large black book, eh?
Yes, the BNI network makes you look like a bit of a rock star that way.
When did you first discover BNI, Sloan?
I I can remember hearing about it years and years ago when I was in the corporate world, and it didn't land on me because I had no need to be developing my own business. And in fact, my own family history led me to be quite afraid of establishing a business. So I was a corporate drone for far too long, but so I jumped out of that world in 2021, and about a year later, I was out with the man walk through in this part of town, and there was several BNI members there, and one of them said, "Hey, look, you should come along to this thing." And I showed up, and the very next Friday, and I'm glad that I did.
What was that first meeting like?
Um, I often think I should make up a story that I was really terrified, etc., but I wasn't. I was genuinely excited, and I got in there, and I was in the room. I reckon it must have been at least 3 minutes, Tony, before I sort of came to the realization, oh, this seems like a pretty good bunch of people. So I was happy that I came along and excited to see what came next when the meeting proper actually started.
So, what was it about those first 3 minutes? I mean, it must have been an impactful 3 minutes, but what was it about those first 3 minutes that led you to think that, you know what, I'm in the right place?
It was the welcome. So all the things that you might train your visitor host team to actually deliver for you, this chapter was actually doing. So they knew I was coming. It was all well set up. There was a name badge waiting for me. The person that had invited me was there. They'd told me that they were going to be introducing me to a couple of other professionals in similar professions to me that would make sense as referral partners, and all of that happened, and everyone just seemed so upbeat and welcoming for 6:30 on a Friday morning. So I was pretty impressed by that.
So, that was the first 3 minutes. So, how did the remaining 87 minutes of the meeting go?
Well, by the end of the fifth minute, I decided that I should join because I'd learned I didn't have much of an idea about the structure. I'd done a little bit of research, and I joined the local Chamber of Commerce, which I'm still part of. And that's a really good, I guess, social aspect to gaining contact with other business owners. But for me, I'd inadvertently been creating my own one-to-ones without knowing that that was even a thing. I've been phoning around saying, hey, I'm a new member. I'm in a similar line of work to you. You want to catch up for a coffee? And not everyone was open to that. So when I worked out that that was actually a requirement of being part of BNI, and it's not something that we have to do, it's something that we get to do. I was really excited and thought, okay, great. Everyone is going to be up for the conversation, looking how to support each other. And one of my favorite sayings, of course, is, structure liberates. When we have good quality structure, that actually sets us free. We don't need to be constantly reinventing the wheel or coming up with new approaches. So I just thought, yes, this is looking better and better.
It's interesting you say structure liberates because there'd be some people who are listening who maybe think that structure restricts, right? But you're saying, hang on a second, it provides us the ability to be free. So just talk more about that, Sloan.
Yeah, I'd love to claim it's my saying, but it's not. It was something I picked up through one form or another of corporate training over the years. And I genuinely came to sort of adopt and believe that because as a leader of people or even as an employee, if you don't have structure provided for you, that's actually really quite unfair because you're asking your team or your employees as a business owner to really make it up on the fly. And it's reliant on them to bring the standard on that particular day rather than meet the standard that we've all agreed is something that's really good for all of us. So that's where I come from, and I suppose in the work that I do in the financial coaching space, there's lots of structure, and I need people to lean into that. So therefore, there actually needs to be a positive story around that. I think that's true for any form of coaching, which you'd know really well, Tony.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you talked about that the first meeting was impactful, first 3 minutes, first 5 minutes, but really, I mean, when did you realize that BNI was going to be worth it for you, for your time, for your investment, Sloan?
I think realistically, I didn't know how much it was going to be involved in the investment. I'd worked out the time, but the visitor orientation meeting at the end of the meeting, Tony, was really when I thought, yeah, okay, perfect. This makes a lot of sense. I'd done the mental calculation in my head, realized, okay, that represents X amount of revenue, and I was aware of the wonders of things like social media advertising and Facebook advertising, etc. And I still say it to this day, for any business that's starting out or anywhere on your journey, it would be very easy in a month or even a week to blow a year's worth of what it would cost you to be part of the BNI movement. And you don't get any network with those ads. You don't get any guarantees of increasing your skills or learning how to effectively market your business in person or network, etc. The list goes on and on and on. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer, and just quietly, I think it's excellent value. But let's not tell anyone that.
It can just be our secret. How's that sound?
Yes. Okay. Good.
What is it that you consistently do in BNI that brings you results, Sloan?
Big fan of the CVP. Credibility, visibility, delivering profitability. So, showing up all the time, ready to go, not at the last minute, and always being ready to contribute, I suppose. Positivity, it's one of our values there as well. So being someone that others will be drawn to potentially if they're feeling down, even if below the surface, I'm not at 100%. I think giving to others that gift of being there and a positive ear that helps steer them in the right direction on the day that might be tough for them is a great thing to do. And plenty of one-to-ones. I love a good one-to-one. I do lots of virtual one-to-ones online because that's really how I deliver my services, is in this online environment. So it makes sense for me to connect not only well with my chapter, but outside of that in my local area and in fact across the country. There's business that can come from anywhere.
So that's what you do that brings you success. What are some things that you see others do that perhaps hampers or hinders their outcomes, their success in BNI?
Um, Showing up for sales instead of relationships. That tends to be, I guess maybe it's a little bit natural, but it's probably short-sighted. We need to lay the groundwork. And I always talk about foundations in what I do. It's worth putting in the effort to get really solid foundations. Otherwise, whether you're talking about your chapter relationships or business partner referral relationships or indeed clients or your own circumstances, you end up with the equivalent of the Leaning Tower of Pisa if you've got poor foundations. And no one wants their relationships to be on a lean, or their finances or their business, etc. So it's worth putting in that effort. Don't expect too much too early. Focus on giving would, I think, be a really important factor there, and be well prepared for that 45 or 60 seconds that's coming your way, depending on the size of your chapter, every single week. Unless you happen to be particularly gifted at saying something on the fly, you still need to be able to put forward a very specific ideal referral. I learned the power of that after a while. I didn't always get how important it was to be specific. And, the classic specific is terrific. That's so true. It really does help people get their head around how to help you.
Great advice. Thank you. Let's talk about your business for a while. So, can you give us a brief overview of you, your business, and the main services that you provide?
So, executive financial coaching is the name of the business. And effectively, I work with business owners, professionals, and the focus of the work is to help them overcome financial frustration. The clients that I work with, they're actually not in financial stress in the way that someone who's got debt collectors knocking on their door might be. These people are at the other end of the spectrum with really solid incomes. However, they're a victim of their own success in the available time that they have. So life is sort of swirling around them, and definitely their finances are happening to them, not the reverse. So it's to help people be on top of their cash flow. And trigger warning here for a scary word. That means budget. So we do need to be the boss of our money and provide it with clear instructions. Money is great at following orders. We just need to be the adults in the room. So that's part of the story, but where are we going is the other part, that holistic big discussion, not only about finances, but about every area of life. What does that look like? What are you hoping to achieve? And then we line up what we're doing with income on a monthly basis in service of that story. And it helps to bridge the divide, get people out of that hesitation zone where a lot of us get stuck because there's so many options. What are the trade-offs? What am I missing? Is many questions that people have in their mind. So it's really effective for me, I guess, to be decision support and a sounding board with a strategy overlay.
What makes your business different?
The I This is more overt with some clients than with others, but it's there for everyone. Is actually blending that deep financial expertise. I spent that 30 years in banking and wealth management or financial planning, and also the mindset component to it. And in particular, for me, I follow Buddhist teachings in my life. And that's been a big part of helping me really calm my farm from when I started to learn to meditate when I was 40. It seemed easier to me to learn how to meditate than recover from a heart attack or stroke. So I went down that track. Um, Not that the health signs were there, but you can feel that level of stress in your body. Well, I certainly could anyway. So I thought this isn't productive. So bringing that sense of money mindfulness and as well as kindness and compassion, mostly directed towards ourselves, because gosh, we can be harsh on ourselves. We are very good at kicking our own butts, and that's useful to a certain extent, but then it goes across the line. And many of us have that inner tyrant constantly providing, let's call it nicely, feedback, when actually it's really self-criticism that's not warranted in many cases. So helping to get that balance right for people, because it's pretty hard to strive forward when you are putting yourself down.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. What's a common problem that your clients face and how do you solve it, Sloan?
It is that component of earning really well as a client, but feeling financially stuck. When you've got all the raw material there in terms of your income, and that's what our income is. It allows us to build our future. So it'd be the equivalent of having all the material delivered to your building site for the perfect architecturally designed home to be constructed, and the crew shows up every day to start building, but they don't do anything. How frustrated would you be after 6 months of that, let alone years? And that's what people are going through in their own circumstances, because they know they've got the potential and they've got the means. It's just actually getting out of that hesitation zone, as I call it, taking some deliberate time to have the conversations, work out where we're going, what the options are, and then step forward with support along the way.
Who's an ideal referral for you right now?
Apparently, medical professionals, because they are coming out of the mix everywhere. Not and from varying different sources as well. So these are quite high earning people, and it's ironic that I can remember as a small town banker. My original hometown is Emerald in central Queensland, and I joined the Westpac Bank there straight out of school and studied while I was working. But I can remember seeing or this is just a little glimpse of the local GP's finances and thinking, wow, they seem really disorganized.
Mm.
And that's stuck with me all those years. And again, it's that victim of being time poor and victim of being successful. So that's still true today. Many of them are looking for, well, what's the right strategy? Where to from here is a big question they're trying to answer and really unleash that potential that they have got.
Thank you for sharing. So, for those of us who are watching or listening out there, if there's some medical professionals that need some financial advice, and we know where to send them. Let's play a word association game, Sloan. So, short answers, fast pace. So, I'm going to say a word. You're going to give me your immediate response. So, networking,
Okay. Opportunity,
opportunity. I like it. Referrals,
trust,
success,
driving growth.
coffee.
That one's easy. No coffee, no worky.
Oh, okay. Give us game.
Generosity,
Sport,
inspiration, actually,
team,
collaboration.
and lastly, BNI.
For me, actually, community is the really big sense that I get from it. So, community.
Wow, thank you, mate. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who's either watching or listening and they want to grow their business through networking, what would that advice be, Sloan?
Uh, do the work and be willing to play the long game. Don't mentally cut yourself off from the opportunity of short-term conversion, but don't expect that. You've got to truly, I think, be there, keep showing up, be visible for CVP again, and do the work that can establish your reputation. Because it's the classic know, like, and trust, and that comes from other people's experience of you. We can all say lots of things and have plenty of impressive marketing, but it comes down to when the rubber hits the road and how do you look after people and support others around you? That's what I'd say.
And I describe it as follow the system, trust the process. Like you said, you just
Mm.
do the right things, do those right things consistently and persistently, and you will get the results. But it's about trusting that process. What's one exciting thing happening in your business right now that you'd like the listeners or viewers to know about?
Look, I guess I'm always looking to get better and better at what I do. And the big thing that I've done this year is really codify what has come from many years of experience, as well as, I guess, the classical type of study that we all do as professionals. But I brought that out as my meaningful money method. And that's the way that I actually work with and serve clients. And it's got both sides of the brain. I won't say which side does which because I always get that the wrong way round. But we do need to do that, and it once again lines up actions that we need to work on from the finances or the money side, and then there's the meaning side. What does our mindset, our connection with others, our legacy, the direction that we're moving in, how do we serve and proactively with intention create that life on a consistent basis? So that's what I've been really introducing to my clients, and it's having pretty amazing effect for people. They're
Oh,
finding it very valuable.
it sounds very exciting. How can listeners learn more about your business or get in touch with you, Sloan?
The easiest way is LinkedIn. Um, I'm literally the only Sloan Wilkins in the world on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty easy to find. But that's my happy place. It's what I use in the world of corporate, and so I've been there coming up 20 years pretty soon. Other than that, the easiest way is also via my website, executivefinancialcoaching.com.au.
Outstanding. Thank you, Sloan. Well, look, that wraps up another episode of the BNI Effect. Many thanks to our guest today, Sloan Wilkins, for sharing his insights with us and showing us what's possible in BNI. If you're a BNI member, take one idea that Sloan has shared from this week and perhaps put it into practice. If you're a visitor to BNI, I hope you've seen how powerful this community can be. Subscribe to hear more or listen to real stories from BNI members. And until next time, give more, trust more, grow more.